Hey, it's Glenda. Welcome back to Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr.Rogers project. If you want to participate, you can stream episodes from Amazon Prime. This is from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood Volume 1. This is the first week program number 3, and the title of the episode is Chef Brocket Makes a Cake Fit for a King. The original air date is February 2nd, 1968, and this episode is in black and white. The synopsis. Chef Brocket gives Mr. Rogers a box and says he will see Mr. Rogers later. Out of curiosity, Mr. Rogers opens the box and inside finds it empty except for a note from Chef Brocket. The note states that Chef will be over later to fill up the box. Mr. Rogers also discusses traditional gender roles. He talks about typical gender roles, but normalizes parents working outside of those roles. He states that fathers do more than driving cars and some mothers go out to work. They don't just make the beds and cook the meals. I will address Mr. Rogers' stance on gender in my observations. You will find many internet memes who use this clip to support anti-trans ideology. However, that couldn't be further from how Fred felt, and I'll provide proof in episode 6. In this episode, Fred sings the song, "I Like to Be Like Mom and Dad." Picture Picture provides us a cake recipe, and Mr. McFeely, as usual, is in a rush to deliver a message that Chef Brocket will be on his way. Mr. Rogers and Chef Brocket take plenty of time to bake a cake for the king, and King Friday doesn't trust the cake. He wonders if there are secret messages of change or poison in this cake. He makes Lady Aberlin cut up the whole cake just to be sure, and Chef Brocket's feelings are hurt when his cake isn't appreciated and he's not trusted. Lady Aberlin sings, "It's an ugly day," and "We've made the most of an ugly day," after speaking with Corny at his factory about King Friday's new rules. Corny won't bother with visiting the castle because he doesn't have a serial number, and so he can't follow the king's rules. Lady Aberlin feels sad that the new rules will prevent visitors at the castle. Chef Brocket arrives at the castle to deliver the cake. He presents his name and serial number to Lady Aberlin, who is a border guard. Edgar, who is also a guard, asks Chef for his name, rank, and serial number. Chef and Edgar discuss the changes. Chef offers some uplifting words expressing that maybe things will change for the better. Chef Brocket presents the cake promised to King Friday, and King Friday asks Lady Aberlin to cut a piece of cake. She does so, and then King Friday asks her to cut another piece and then another. King Friday asks, "What is in this cake?" He wants to know if there are any secret messages of change inside the cake. Lady Aberlin reluctantly continues to cut the entire cake into pieces to look for any poisonous materials. Chef explains that he would never do something to harm the king. King Friday responds, "You never know these days. There are changes about and utmost care must be taken." This episode ends with the Tomorrow song. My observations, connections, and reflections. I appreciate that Fred takes the time to have Chef Brocket demonstrate how to bake the cake. By today's standards, the amount of time allotted for this segment would be unheard of. I believe that Mr. Rogers was adamant in showing children how things are made. Showing the process helps to transform curiosity into creativity. I also believe this is part of Fred's philosophy, to slow down. I think Chef Brocket completes the demonstration in silence, because I wonder if this is to highlight the importance of deep focus. Chef Brocket leaves in a hurry, and Mr. Rogers makes a comment that everybody is in a hurry today. He continues to remind us all that we rush too much and it's necessary to slow down. Chef's feelings were hurt by King Friday. Chef went to the trouble of making the cake, including decorating it with the number 13. Chef is fulfilling a promise to King Friday, but King Friday let his fear of change get to him so much that he didn't trust Chef's cake. It really hurts when you don't feel trusted by someone you know and care about. It's also important to not let fear or change get in the way of your relationships and being kind to others. I noticed that Fred does improvise during the program and makes changes himself. However, it's always within the established structure. This offers flexibility within stability. For example, he sometimes changes the lyrics to his songs. I believe this is to show that change doesn't have to be scary. When it comes to talking about flexibility and gender roles, I think Fred is trying to find a way to address less black and white thinking, and that there can be flexibility even within the established rules. He may also be commenting on the time period where gender roles were changing and less fixed, making the connection that not all change is bad. We can welcome change, and sometimes it is necessary. If you haven't spent any time on the internet in the last 4 years, you have probably seen a lot of people using memes of Mr. Rogers to support anti-trans ideology. This clip is taken out of context and is void of any understanding regarding the basics of child development. I have found evidence of Fred Rogers' stance on gender and sexuality through my research, and I will present my evidence in episode 6. In this episode, Mr. Rogers sings Everybody's Fancy. Questions for myself. Why does King Friday get angry when things change? What is his story? What makes him respond that way? And questions for you. Feel free to answer in the comments. What fears do you have that prevent you from making connections to others? And most importantly, won't you be my neighbor?